All right, welcome everyone to the final day of ANZ Coders 2015, day 5. Who knew we'd make it? I certainly didn't. I thought my voice was going to die, so I've currently got hot water mixed with honey here, just trying to keep myself going. And there's the cough. All right, very professional there. Always cough into the microphone to make sure you share it with everyone else. So this particular session, we've got Emad Alashi, who's going to be talking to us about Internet of Controllers, or IoC, I don't know. Yeah, I'm mucking around. So we'll do that. And then, so Emad, we're going to throw over to you. You can regale the audience. I'm going to replace my throat. As you can hear, it's just getting better and better. It's fantastic.
Nice.
So,
all right,
over to you.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you all guys who are here in a Friday night. This is crazy, and you are here. This is beautiful. And yeah, my name is Emad Alashi. I work for Redify, and today we're going to talk about IoC in ASP.NET 5. Crazy stuff has been going on ASP.NET 5. And one of them is the inversion of control. To save us some time, I have to start now. And before we start, really, let's just remind ourselves of what OWIN is, because this is crucial to our presentation today. OWIN is the Open Web Interface for .NET. It's like a specification that tries to specify how the web server should interact with the web application and its web components. So let's have a very quick look. OWIN says that a web server should contain a web application that has or that is composed of different middlewares. When a request comes from the web server, it's going to instantiate all these middlewares, and it's going to give the chance to each middleware to have access to the HTTP request with the context and inspect the request, do some changes on the response. And once the middleware is happy, it's going to pass the context to the next call. The middleware will get the chance to also do
And we seem to have lost Emad. Of course, because what would it be if we didn't have technical difficulties? It's just one of those ones. Maybe it's because it's session 13, and 13 is the unlucky number. So we're just waiting to see if Emad comes back. Otherwise, I get to croak at you for the next few minutes, which will be fun for everyone. This is the point where, I ask, how's your Friday? Oh, gosh, my throat's horrible. All right, Emad, come back. We've lost him. We've definitely lost him. Oh, awesome. Okay, so ASP.NET has a version of control containers in it, and there's a talk about that apparently, and Owen is the open web interface for .NET. I don't know what he was going to talk about after that. Chat room, help me out here. Help me out. Come back. All right, this is the part where I grab the phone. Yes, it is 13A. It means we're kind of dance for our amusement. Are you sure you want that? Are you sure? I mean, it's up to you guys. I can do something like that, or I can put on some, play that funky music, white boy sort of thing in the background. I can get down with the homies, and I shouldn't do that. That's been recorded. Oh, look, there's a phone call. Yes, hello, you're on air. Yes, you are. No, I am on air talking to you, and everyone's watching me talk to you, and we're going, what happened? Oh, you just disappeared. You're gone. Yeah, hang on. Let me just put you on the speaker.
Do the presentation over the phone.
There we go. Now you can say hi to everyone.
Oh my god.
No, not that. You got to say hi. You can't just swear at them. So I should actually put a picture of you up here. Start one of the jigsaw parts behind me.
Oh my god.
Hang on. I can pull out this. Oh, look, what a good idea, everyone. You should see my book. It's really awesome, and it's written by me. See, that's my name there. You wanted that. My health might want to depend. Oh, gosh. Yes, thank you for your dad humor, everyone. I'm sure this is how we will start our Friday, isn't it, Emad? So what's up with your machine? Where'd you go?
I don't know. It's just.
Do you need to be invited back in? Let me invite you back into the Hangout.
Hangout is disconnected. Let me try to. Oh my god! I went to ANZ Coders to get better connection.
Hang on, I'm going to send you another invite while everyone's watching. Are you enjoying this chat room?
Yeah.
We need some kind of mock. You're mocking enough, aren't you? I'm talking to the chat room. They're not you.
Okay, let's see.
Come on, come back, Emad, come back. Wave to the audience. Hi, audience. I think you are awesome.
I think I'm back.
Not yet, you're not. I'm waiting to see your face. Gratuitous book promo it is. I'm waiting to see your prettiness turn up. Substitute top 4, Emad. Nice work.
I'm back?
No, you're not back. I don't know where you are.
Wait, one second.
You,
Where am I?
hopefully you're in front of your laptop and you haven't just thrown yourself off the edge of a building.
Can you call me back to the?
You want yet another invite, do you? You're like an invite glutton. I'm hot for invites. Get back to where you was. Ah, gee. I should get my little rock band plastic guitar out, crack that out, do some button mashing and pretend that I'm awesome, or just look like an idiot.
Oh my god.
Don't worry, it's only being recorded, and there'll be hundreds of people who can watch this online afterwards.
The problem is, Hangout says I'm online, but I'm not in the call. So how can I get back into the call?
Just go to your G Plus and see if you've got the invite there.
Okay. Let's see.
Otherwise, we're going to have to call this session 16. Where are our pants? It's a Lego thing, Lego movie. Where's my pants?
Can you send it to my email at least? I went to my.
Sure. Which email do you want? Say it online for everyone to hear.
Gmail.
Yeah, what is it though? I don't remember.
Emad.ashi.shi.
Actually, I'll find it if I got it in the other one. That's for everyone else who's listening. They can.
Wait.
Oh, I'm waiting. No,
Wait.
you.
I'm around.
No, you wait.
1 second.
Oh, there you are. Look, you've just appeared.
Oh my god.
All right, I'm hanging up on that clown. Whoever that clown was who was just talking to me, I've just hung up. That was rubbish, man. All right, so Emad, you've just chewed up 10 minutes of your session time. No pressure at all. So you might want to skip the intro bit and just go to the awesome now.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to the awesome. This is horrible. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. Okay, please confirm that I'm still alive somehow.
Yeah, you're still alive.
Beautiful. Okay, you can go now, Hangout, and start. Yes. Okay, Owen. You know Owen. Skip Owen. Bye, Owen. iOS today. Okay, how is the ASP.NET dealing with IoC containers today? We have different web frameworks that are under the umbrella of ASP.NET. We have MVC, we have the SignalR, we have web APIs. Each one of these have its own implementation and or like its own encapsulation for the IoC container through the dependency resolver. We have MVC, the SignalR, and the web API. Everyone is in a silo. Even when the ASP.NET team introduced Owen through Katana to IIS, still every one of these kept its own IoC container implementation. Now tomorrow, which is actually this evening, because the ASP.NET team guys are really doing a wonderful job on how fast they are, this is how it's going to run. The whole application is going to, for the application-wide, application level, there will be a service provider. The service, I'm saying, I chose the word service provider. It's going to be explained a little bit afterwards. So it's IoC container on application level. What the ASP.NET team also did, they introduced a mandatory container middleware sitting at the very beginning of the Owen pipeline. So once you start your pipeline, you build your middlewares without control of you, really. There is a hidden container middleware. What is the purpose of this container middleware? Well, when a request comes, sitting at the beginning of the pipeline, the container middleware will create a scoped container derived from the big IoC container on the application level. And this scoped container is going to be passed along with the HTTP context to the leftovers or the different middlewares sitting on the pipeline. Each middleware, like MVC, API, the web API, SignalR, will get the chance to get its hands on this scoped container and use it as the service provider or the IoC container for that application in that level. And once all the middleware finished and the response is going back, the container middleware will dispose this scoped container. Okay, Microsoft and the ASP.NET team guys decided to build an abstraction layer over the most common features of the IoC containers. So you can take off the default implementation and throw in AutoFac and inject whatever container you like. They introduced so many interfaces. The interfaces we're going to look here are the ones that we are going to be concerned with. We are not going to look into their default IoC container. So the service provider is the very simple interface through which we can access the implementations of the services we have. Let's consider it the IoC container. Get me a service, okay? Of course, behind the scenes, there's a bunch of stuff, but when you want to get the concrete implementation from the service, you use the service provider. There's the iService scope, which is the scoped service provider. We can highlight the dispose method here. And also we have the iService scope factory, which is the factory that will create the scoped IoC container from the parent one. We also have a very important enumeration, which is it's an enumeration that specifies the lifetime span of the objects. If you are familiar with IoC containers, of course you're going to know the singleton, which is application scope. Scoped is per scoped IoC container. It's like a small singleton or limited singleton, and the transient. Transient, of course, if you want. Every time you you request a container of a specific service, every time you do that, you will get a new instance. The last class, which is the most important class, it's the one that you will have to deal with directly in your application. It's a class that will hold the definition of how you are going to bind your service with its implementation. The main properties are the service type, which is, for example, iBank management service you have. And then you have the implementation type, which is the concrete implementation. This is not a must, because you can have different implementations, like implementation factory. If you provide a function through which you can create the instance, you can supply it with this service descriptor, and then when you want to, when you ask the service provider to give you an implementation of your service, it's going to be created through this factory. And the final thing is, if you have a specific instance, you will have to manage its life within its the implementation instance. And of course, we have the lifetime enumeration. I've scripted singleton or transient or scoped. These are the most important components. Now let's get to the demo. I'm really sorry that I'm going that fast. Okay, good, nice. Let's start with the most known class ever in our web applications recently, which is the startup class in web applications. I have my web application, I have a startup class, and I have the configure method. This configure method is the entry point through which you can define your web application. If you have different middlewares, you can arrange them here. You can see here, for example, if we are in a development environment, we're gonna add we're gonna add browser link middleware, database error middleware, error handler middleware, and of course, the most used is the MVC middleware. All of these are middlewares that are defined in the configure. Beautiful. Now, if we are going to create an application level IoC container, then where are we going to define our implementations and define the binding of the services and their concrete implementation? For this purpose, the team provided the configure services method. The configure services method, here you can bind the interface with the implementation. You receive a collection of service descriptors, the class we just mentioned. And we have different opinions about the namings. Some people would like it, some people would don't. This is not a service collection, really. It's a collection of service descriptors. This is what really it is. So we're going to come back to this at MVC in a second. So imagine this. I have a controller, and it's my awesome controller. Really, the name is my awesome controller. It's just not too awesome. Anyway, it takes an interface, depends on a service, the iBank manager. iBank manager is here, and the implementation is here. I want to define this relation between these two in my startup class. So what do I do? We go var, and then I'm going to create a service descriptor, new service descriptor, that is going to take the service I want to give the implementation to, and then the concrete implementation, which is the bank manager itself, and eventually the service lifetime, which is transient. Doing this, and of course, we don't want to forget to add, we say services dot add, and we add this service descriptor. This services is passed from the hosting engine. Why? Because we are having an application level IoC container. It's going to be used with the hosting engine. So it's for everything. So once you reach this entry point, you'll find so many services that were defined before. These services were defined by the hosting engine. Okay, which method is going to be called first? Configure services or configure? Of course, it's going to be configure services. I'm going to show you in a minute when you run the application how you will create the services and create the service provider, the IoC container, and then our application would run. So if I set a breakpoint in my controller in here, beautiful. Let's see if we're going to get the implementation. And I run the application and see how things go. It's thinking. By the way, I have the code of ASP.NET. This is how I'm stepping into the code. You're going to see that, oh my God, we are in hosting engine in ASP.NET. If you missed any of the deep dives of Ignite or Build, you can see how this trick is done by the guys of the ASP.NET team. I did the same. I just stole the trick. Beautiful. Now, if this is the most important entry point for us. There's not so many things that happening on the stack. You can see that there's not many calls. We were early in the beginning. This guy, this ensure application services, is going to, if you come here, it's gonna have access, look for your startup class, make sure that it has the configure and the configure services, and here, what's gonna do is going to call your configure services, pass you all the services that the hosting engine needs, give you the chance to add your services, and when it receives it back, behind the scenes, it's gonna create a service provider or IoC container that is the default one that the ASP.NET implemented for this. Where is this stored? It's stored in application services property. Also, naming, we might not agree. It's the application services is actually a service provider interface. To which context? The hosting context. This is on a hosting level. The hosting level is going to pass it to application level. So if we continue, you will find that from the hosting context, we are passing the application services, or which is the IoC container, to the builder, which eventually is going to pass it for all the middlewares. Anyway, let's continue and see how we are going to create the container for the request itself. Now, this is the container middleware we mentioned. It's the service request services container middleware. The only thing the only reason why I put a breakpoint here was to show you that this is the service provider that was created from that line, and it's passed here, so we can use it to create the scoped container later. So we're not gonna just continue. Okay, continue. And done. Now the application is beautifully ready. Let's call, okay, beautiful. Behind the scenes, because I think it's the IntelliSense of Google on the address. I'm not sure if it's called IntelliSense. Anyway, a request has been made before my awesome controller. Damn it. Anyway, you can see here that this is the very first middleware that is being invoked. Of course, because it's sitting at the beginning. See this beautiful line? It's a using. It's wrapping. It's behind the scenes. It's creating a scoped container, pushing it into the HTTP context to be used by the different middlewares, and wrapping it in a using so it can be disposed afterwards. If I go inside this guy and see the constructor when this is created, you can see that we are passing the app service provider, which is the very big one, and the scope factory we mentioned, the iScope factory, which was created by the parent service provider, the application level. And you can see that here, through the scope factory, we are creating a scope provider, of course, through the parent scope, the parent service provider. And then this is very important. We are assigning the parent or the application level service provider to a property in the HTTP context called application services, and the scoped service provider the scoped service provider is assigned to request services property, which is also a service iService provider. This one is one is going to be handed to the middlewares to be creating for its request lifetime objects. And this one, of course, if in case, God forbid, your application wants to access the parent container, then you can have access to. Of course, this is not an advised thing. You don't want to transfer this to a service locator. You don't want to have access directly as an end user to the service provider or the IoC container. You just provide interfaces, but this is a different topic. If I continue, you can see that we are in the home controller. Okay, now check this out. If I go down, 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 and check the what is it? Invoke action async, which is the entry point at which we're gonna create the controller. Where MVC uses a service provider or an IoC container to create the controller and all the subsequent objects. Check this out. Context.http context.request services. Bang. This is our scoped container. It's used as services, and then eventually it is used to create all the subsequent objects. So this is how MVC is doing it, the MVC router handler. This, the web API should have one exactly like the same, getting it from the HTTP request and getting the request services and all the different middlewares. Oh, what's this? I'm gonna ignore this for a minute. Hello? Did I lose the connection?
Okay. You're still here. All good.
Yeah. Very good. I thought this was. I thought it's Richard.
No, it's me. I'm gonna tell you you've got about a minute left. So.
Oh, okay. The last thing. Okay. one last thing to do. Okay. This just. I stopped it. Let's go change branches. I want to show you how you do your own implementation. Oh. Okay. I'm sorry. 1 minute. 1 minute. Check out. Yes, clean. Okay. Now, check this out. If you want to introduce your own IoC container, or use Autofac, for example, you will have to do the following. Startup. Your configure services, the signature should change from void to iService provider. Why? Because we are going to create the container in our configure services. We're going to create the Autofac container and populate it. What populate does, it's going to steal all the service descriptors here from the services and register them for itself, just like you do a normal registration of services with Autofac. Once you finish, of course, this is something that is provided by the ASP.NET team as a demonstration. This is not the Autofac implementation for the new stuff. They have their own service provider implementation and, of course, the scope factory. You don't need to do this, right? This is something that's going to be provided by the IoC Containers managers. Probably this is going to change to get the default from the Autofac. I'm not 100% sure, but this one is good enough to get you running. Once the configure services is called, it's going to retain the IoC service provider, sorry, the Autofac service provider, and then it will be replaced eventually with the parent service provider of the application on the application level, and you will have Autofac IoC container running on your ASP.NET 5 application. Sorry for the rush. I hope I finished on time. And yeah, that's it. I'm open for questions.
Fantastic. Let's see if we actually have any questions. Oh, there we go. I'm going to get Emad, I'm going to get you to read them and answer them because I'm stuffed at the moment.
Oh, okay, 1 second. I just want to find my questions because I lost the connection. You remember?
Okay, well, it says, how do you replace the ASP.NET default container with another one like Unity?
Just like I showed you for the AutoFac. So if I go back to the code, where's my mouse? The configure services, this guy. All what you need to do, because the hosting engine will inspect the configure services. It will look for a signature that returns as an I service provider. If it doesn't, it will use the void one. It will just use its default service provider. If your implementation retains an service provider, which is here in this case is the AutoFac service provider, it will replace that. It will replace that with the one that you are providing. So if I go to the hosting engine, if I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to quickly find the place again. This guy here. This time, in this method, the one behind the scenes, instead of creating the default one, it will get the one that you have created from the configure services and will pass it to the application services, and it will become the application level service provider. I hope this answered the question. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Okay, that's because I had my thing on mute while I was coughing before.
The coughing button.
Yeah, and I didn't unpress it properly. It doesn't look like the chat room's got anything extra for us at the moment, so...
I'm really sorry for all these disconnections and stuff. I hope it's...
that's all good, it's all good. It's part of the fun.
Oh my God.
And by fun, I mean not fun. All right. Well, in that case, we are going to call that session pretty much done. Thanks very much, guys. Emma, that was great. I wanted to also, as I've done each night, just thank our sponsors, Redify and Crowdcast, for their support throughout the week, the entire week, which is cool. And our next session that we're going to have coming up is going to be Aaron talking about something about React or being reactive or something like that. And there's the virtual clap happening in the chat room, which is awesome. And we will see you shortly in about 10 minutes, and we'll see them. Thanks, Emad.
Thank you, Richard.
All
See you
right.
soon.
See you all soon, guys.